Benvenuto. Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. Today we're going to make braised chuck roast. I guess it's kind of a German inspired because it's got some beer and red cabbage and some German mustard. Either way, it's delicious. What's inspired me to make this for dinner tonight is a couple of the things that Santa was nice enough to bring me. One of them is my new cast iron enamel coated pot. Now, you say, why isn't that one of those really fancy French ones, which are beautiful and very expensive? But that's not the reason why it is this particular one from Lodge. They're not sponsoring us, but if the people in Lodge Cookware want to sponsor us, call us. But this is, I've had a couple of their pieces, and this is a Dutch oven, cast iron enamel coated Dutch oven. I've used it twice now, absolutely love it. One of the nice things about a really heavy cast iron Dutch oven is that you can use it for many different cooking variations. Braising is one of them. It's got a really nice, heavy, tight sealing lid, and this is a heavy pot in and of itself. But anyway, also, and I got some new knives from Santa too. So I've used those all over the holiday season. But anyway, so we're going to make a chuck roast, a braised chuck roast. So most important ingredient in a braised chuck roast is the chuck roast. All right, so you're going to need about a 4-pound chuck roast. Now, it's relatively important when making this type of braised meat, when you're doing it in a heavy Dutch oven, that you do want to use a chuck roast. You can use any kind of roast, but a chuck roast this is going to be a long, slow cook at low temperature, and that meat is going to just get all beautifully tender and break apart. So in my opinion, for a pot roast, that's the best to use. Again, you want about 4 pounds. Err on a little over 4 if you can't get one just at 4 pounds. I couldn't get a 4-pound one, so I ended up getting 2, but roughly 2.5 pounds, a little bit less each one. But when I got one of them home, I noticed a big vein of fat. You'll notice this has got a big vein of fat in it, but it really is just there. And that's going to melt beautifully into our meat. But I had this really big, tough, fatty piece. So I ended up cutting that out. That's why these two pieces are in two sizes, but that'll still work beautifully. I'll use this for something else. Been thinking I may make my own homemade beef stock, so that would come in handy. All right, the next thing you need is you're going to need 1 small head of cabbage. We need 1 large white onion. We need about 3 carrots. I actually have 4 here because I had 4 carrots left, so what was I going to do with that last carrot? So 3 or 4 carrots, large white onion. You're also going to need 2 teaspoons of kosher salt and 1 teaspoon of pepper. You can see I just mixed them together because we're going to coat our meat with that. Need about a ½ teaspoon of, let me check my recipe. I forgot what that is. I believe it's thyme. That's dried thyme. You can use fresh thyme if you so choose. I've tried it with fresh thyme and the dried thyme. I don't know a difference in the taste, and then that way I don't have to go pulling out the 2 or 3 thyme stems. Then, of course, one of the other things that kind of make it a German inspired is some good old stout lager. Now, this isn't necessarily a German beer. This is that famous New England beer that we all love. But this is what we had on hand, so I'm going to use that. You're going to need about 4 cups of beef stock. I've got some bone broth beef stock. Yeah, is it as good as the real homemade one? No, but it'll do. We need 6 ounces of tomato paste, and you need a good, strong, whole grain kind of mixed German mustard. And that's got, some of the whole grain mustard seeds plus some, I don't know, however they make mustard. The important thing is this adds a really nice acidy, vinegary taste to the dish. And I think a lot of us will find that when you go out to eat, you eat something and, oh, it's delicious. Oh, I could do this at home. And certainly we can. But sometimes it's those little things that cooks or real chefs, I'm not one of them, kind of know that You always need a little bit of acid, a little bit of sweet, a little bit of salty, and that's going to bring that whole dish together. And to me, without this mustard, it's a totally different dish. And then we're going to need some vegetable oil to fry up our meat. So anyway, so we got our onions, and we're just going to do a really rough chop. Get over there. They don't have to be fancy. It's better if they don't fall on the floor, but I won't use those ones. All right, so really, definitely just a rough cut. These are going to cook in our braising liquid for, 5 hours. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is not a evening, really quick supper. This is more of a weekend where you're definitely going to have your prep time, your frying time, and your 5 hours in a very low, slow oven. So I just, again, because just showing you, Wade likes me to show you how I cut up everything. Thank you, Wade. And, so then, again, couldn't be as simple. I'm just going to take my cabbage and just cut it into long pieces. Again, this is going to cook down in our sauce and become soft and delicious. All right. So now, at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to put all our veggies aside. Hold on 1 second. I need to grab something. So I'm just going to put these in a couple bowls. Now, I don't want to mix my cabbage in with my onions and stuff at this point because, not that that little bit isn't going to matter, but because the cabbage is going to go in on top of our roast at the last hour of cooking. Okay, we can put our wooden cutting board aside for now, and let's bring our roast up. Now, you might think 2 tablespoons of kosher salt sounds like a lot, but keep in mind, it's the only salt we're going to put in this. We're not going to put any more, so we're going to take this and just kind of try to coat it well. Oh, one other important thing, guys, I forgot to tell you, I'm sorry. You want to make sure you pat off your beef before you start this process and before you get it frying, because if you don't pat it as dry as you can get it, it's not going to brown up nice in your pan. Sorry, I should have done that. You've seen us do that before. I just take a paper towel and we're just going to pat all around the beef like that. See, I've already dried it and it still has a little bit of moisture left. I'm not going to worry about too much about getting everything on the sides of this, but we'll give that a little pat. Turn it over. And since I'm not going to use this, I'm going to use all of this salt up for this particular process, so I'm not worried about cross-contaminating anything. There you go. Now we are about ready to start browning this. Okay, I'm going to clean up my hands, clean up this little bit of a mess, and we'll come back and get our meat nice and brown. All right, guys, so how we're going to start is we've got our Dutch oven on a medium-high heat. We need a couple tablespoons of vegetable oil. All right, now rest assured, you don't need a big cast iron pan to do this. For many, many years, I don't know why I never bought myself one of those, but I just used my plain old, really old. These pans, pots and pans are actually my mother's. They're Revere with the copper bottom. My mother, when my mom passed away, I took those. I've been using them for years and years and years. Anyway, so you don't need a big cast iron Dutch oven, but it sure is nice. So we got our oil is just about heated. So we're going to take our bigger piece of meat and place them in there, and you hear that nice sizzle. Now, this is going to take easily 3, 4, 5 minutes on each side. I'm going to go up a little bit because I was at medium. I wanted to be at medium high. So that is going to definitely take about 3 to 4 minutes. Now, what you want is you want to get a nice crust built on there, because of course that's going to translate into all that flavor into your sauce. Oop, and also very important, right before I started frying, before we came back on, I put the oven, I'm preheating the oven, 275. So like I said, this is going to have an initial cook time of 4 hours. Then when we come back at the 4th hour, we're going to put our cabbage on top of it, and then we're going to cook it another hour. So, and we've done this so many times, guys. I'm going to go up one more little degree because I heard it start to slow down a bit. You want to make sure you got that nice sizzle. And of course, normally when you're cooking, when you're browning beef, you don't want to move it until you get that release. And once it releases from the bottom of the pan, it's built that nice crust on it. So we've probably got another good 3 minutes, unless you want to sit here and look at me for 3 minutes, which I doubt any of you want to. Thank you. We'll be back. All right, guys, we've been going for about 2 or 3 minutes. I just wanted to show you. See, so I'm going to just kind of pick up my side. See, it's not releasing yet. All right, I'd have to put a lot of pressure to get that off. So it's not quite brown yet. See you when it's ready. All right, we've been just at about 5, 6 minutes. I think it's ready to turn. It certainly smells delicious. Oh yes, nice. Look at that. Perfect. All right, so we're going to need another 5 minutes or so on the other side. Be ready when it's done. Okay, our other side is beautifully brown. So much so, it doesn't want to come out of the pot. All right, so you're going to take your meat, you're going to move it off to a plate. Now, normally at this point, I would just turn the heat down and go on to the rest of the recipe. But remember, we have these couple little pieces, so I'm going to get those nice and brown. And when those are done, we'll be back and we'll get everything in the pot. Okay, we've got our all of our meat nicely browned and delicious. All right, I've turned my heat source down to just a little bit lower than medium, say medium low. All right, because remember, our oil is scorching hot. Our cast iron pan is scorching hot. So we want to get our aromatics. So we got our carrots and onions. Throw them in there. Get in the tub, and we want to kind of just. We're not really cooking these. We want these to, just start to brown slightly. Pick up some of the brown flavor from the brown bits on the bottom, and just give them kind of a light saute. Now I am going to turn up to medium at this point because now that pan has cooled down a little bit. All right, and we'll give those a good 3 minutes. Be back in 3 minutes. All right, guys, we've been just about 3 minutes, and look at our onions and carrots have gotten that nicely coated. The carrots have started to caramelize a little bit. I've picked up a lot of the flavor from our browning bits. All right, so the next thing we want to do is want to add our tomato paste. Again, I'm at about a medium on my cooktop burner here. I love tomato paste. Now I got tomato on it. All right, so then over our medium heat, we just kind of want to get our onions and everything nicely coated in it. And it's kind of, it is also kind of just a little bit caramelizing the tomato paste, which is going to give it that nice richness. All right, then we want to take our beer and pour it all in, and we're going to deglaze the bottom. Of course, you guys know what that means. We're getting all those nice brown bits to mix in. You're not going to be able to see it, but I can feel it. I'm not getting, any resistance on the bottom. All right, then we can throw our rosemary in. Now, if you didn't want to use beer, you can use maybe use some additional beef stock or vegetable stock. You could even use a little bit of red wine, and then increase your, say maybe a half cup of red wine to deglaze, and then increase your liquid volume by, what's that, a 12 ounce? 12 ounces. All right. All right, so we got that. I'm going to mix in our mustard. Should have kept my other spoon. Oh well. And you can see that's just come back up to a boil, so that's what we want. At this point, we want to bring the beer and the liquid to a boil. Get that all mixed in there. Now, I'm not going to adjust this at this point for salt and pepper. Like I said, I don't really think you'll need any more, but also a lot of these flavors are going to be so pungent right now. I might not actually kind of get a real good feel for what the salt level is, but it's always exactly where I want it to be. All right, so then we're going to take our meat and try to do it without creating a absolute disaster. Place it in there. Take our other two pieces and get those in there. Because we don't want to forget all that deliciousness. All right, now typically, if I do a 4 pound, it's generally a thicker piece of meat. It's probably about there. So at this point, you would want to cover it just till about halfway with your beef stock. Normally this recipe would call for 4 cups. I'm not going to use the whole 4 cups because I think, like I said, because I've had to spread it out. I'm probably covering it a little bit more than I normally would. If you're piece of meat was thicker instead of longer like that, you'd want to pour enough liquid in until it just about half covers the meat. All right, so that is done. You can see we've already started to boil again, but you want to bring it back to a quick boil before you put it in the oven. But I think we're there. So we're going to cover it with our nice heavy cover. And our oven is preheated to 275. Again, remember if you're using a cast iron pan, those sides are going to be hot, so make sure you put your pot holders on. And we got it in halfway up the oven. You know what I mean, guys. All right? And that's it. We're going to leave our little baby here alone for the next 4 hours. It's going to do its thing. In 4 hours, we'll come back and show you what we do with the cabbage. And then, an hour after that, we're going to have a nice dinner. See you then. Okay, we're back 4 hours later. Let's see how we're doing. Well, not really seeing how we're doing. We know it's at the point that we want it. Oh, look at that. Mm-hmm. You think look good? All right, so we're going to take our cabbage and just kind of put it over the top. All in there, and I'm gonna spread it around a bit. Not necessary, but you can try to push a little bit down into your broth. I wish you could all smell how wonderful our house smells. All right, guys, so that's it. I'm gonna put the cover. Put the cover back on. And back into the oven. For 1 more hour. Okay, Google, set a timer for 1 hour.
All right, 1 hour, and we're starting now.
And we'll be back in 1 hour. Okay, we're back after 5 long hours. All right, so I just wanted to show you how I would plate this, guys, or at least put it in a serving bowl. I've gone through and I've taken out almost all of the meat. A few little pieces probably are going to be in here because, as you can see, our meat is beautiful and tender and thoroughly braised. All right, so then, look, we got a little piece there, but that's not going to really matter. All right, and then I would just take our beautiful sauce and cabbage, and don't forget, we got carrots and onions in there. And spread it out over the meat. And there you go. Okay, here comes the best part. Getting to watch us eat. No, us getting to eat. All right, let's see. Dig in. It's been a long wait with the house smelling good.
It's like 5 hours of smelling this.
Being hungry.
Oh. That is divine. That's delicious.
Delicious. It's a little bit different of a take on a pot roast opposed to the one that you just do in the gravy. This has got the mustard and that little. It just has that nice little acidy, tangy, delicious. And we got some little fingerling potatoes with it today. Delicious. I mean, look. I mean, it just. The meat is so nice and tender.
It is nice and tender.
Moist. Delicious, if I do say so myself. Well, I hope you've. I hope you've all enjoyed watching us cook our roast today. I hope, more importantly, I hope you try it yourself. Let us know. All right, I'm going to be quiet.
Please,
That's all I got to say.
like us on Cherry Hill Home Cooking. Like us on the webpage, on YouTube.
Of course, yeah.
Check out cherryhillhomecooking.com. And subscribe.
Thank you so much. Ciao.
Bye. That'll be all gone by a couple days.
Well, I'm going to make a